Don't forget to check out the forum so you can see announcements and ask me questions. Also, save this website to your home screen before you watch this video for easier access. What's going on? I appreciate you again for being part of the academy. Let me make sure my mic is on. Yeah, I appreciate y'all being a part of the academy. I'm gonna be working hard to get 6 videos out, before the month is over. I apologize for not doing them a while ago like I was supposed to. I know I promised y'all a couple of videos. I just got caught up in a lot of different things. But this one I do a EuroLeague game. I do 2 EuroLeague games, and I really just go over like the rules of engagement, like little things you really gotta know when it comes to basketball, just like small shit. You know what I mean? That a lot of people don't want to talk about. Everybody talks about, doing moves and 5 moves for this and 5 moves for that, but they're not teaching you court awareness, uh, IQ tricks, different things like that. And so those are the things I try to go over, especially in this one. I do the FIBA game, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn a lot from it. On this possession, Slovenia showed really good patience with their offense and the timing of their movement, and it caused France to actually make a small mistake right here. And so I'll kind of show you the breakdowns of everything, right? So the first thing that happens on this play is they set this screen. And what I always say is like you got to stay away from the actions, and you don't want two conflicting actions happening at the same time. And so these things over here, they're acting patient and waiting to see how this plays out. And so he comes off the pick and roll, Gobert's in a drop, so he swings it back. Now, once they swing it back, that's when this screen happens. So they don't do this too early. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. They do this right when he has the ball. So then if this screen works, he can make the pass, right? And so now he gets the ball. He comes off the screen, and you'll see everything that's happening. So he's starting to move down to the corner in order to get this guy out of the way. So if a pick and roll is going towards you or anybody's driving to the basket that's on your side, you got to scoot down and make this guy make a decision. And that's what happened right here, right? And then if a pick and roll is going away, you got to lift up and bring your guy up closer. So then if the roller goes down, your guy's not stopping it. Because if you stay down here and he rolls, now this guy can stop it, right? And so there it is. You see the roller. And now look, he was guarding the guy in the corner at first. But since he spaced out as this was happening, he kind of got caught, right? Because he was in a drop, and if he's in a drop on this and they're switching, like that doesn't match up. You can't drop and switch on Luka. And so he kind of took the ball just to grab that responsibility and left his man. And since Gobert thought he was still defending the pick and roll, he didn't switch with the guy that took the ball, and now he's wide open right here. But he missed it. Now, as France comes down, they actually execute perfect spacing on this. And the thing you have to understand is there's certain rules of engagement. And basketball's played by these rules, just a lot of people don't know them because they don't know what they're necessarily looking at, or they just haven't been taught. And so I'll just break down a couple basic rules that happen on this possession, right? So they swing it now. They want to swing it over here. But the rule is if you're getting denied, you just backdoor. If they're overplaying, you backdoor, right? And the passer, you have to recognize that, because if he just tried to swing it, would have been a steal. And if you're the one getting open, you have to recognize it. So they both recognized it. He starts making the backdoor cut. Now, the underrated part on this possession is here's a cutter coming from this side, because in reality, he was supposed to catch it, and then this guy was going to come off that screen. I'll go back so you can see it. Watch. Here it is over here. This guy, you see the screen? Like, this is the screen that's happening. They're expecting, okay, he's going to catch it. He's going to come off the screen. They're going to try to make this pass. He's probably going to set a down screen for him after he sets that screen. That's my guess, right? But now what happens is the back door happens. He doesn't end up getting the ball on the wing. Therefore, he takes up this space, and he recognizes that. And so if somebody's cutting into your space, especially if they're going to receive the ball, you got to get out of the way. And that doesn't mean run past them and drag your defender across. It just means stay over out of the way and stay over here. And so that's what happens. Pass goes through, and look at him. He just stops in his tracks instead of going where he was going to go. And so that left the cut open for him to just attack the help defense and get the finish. So there's a lot of good teaching points in this one. So I'll break them all down just so you can see them a little bit. And I like to let you see the entire play, just so you can know what's going to unfold. And then I can go over it, because I think this is just a good execution of, fundamental movement and different things that you got to know. And on top of a defensive mistake that I'm going to point out. So the first thing is, if you're getting denied, the way to get the ball, I'll show you this one. Once Gobert gets it, you got to put, for one,
you got to make sure like you're sideways like this and you give him a target. So your hand's out here and you got to keep him on the outside of the spot where you're trying to catch the ball. And so if you're trying to catch in your left, obviously you got to keep him on that side and wait for him to pass it. So as a passer, you got to pass it out there so then he can meet it. So he went out there to meet the pass, but he didn't release and try to get open until the ball had left his hands. So that's the key of getting open against pressure, or if somebody's guarding you super tough. Just make sure your inside foot is over the top of theirs. So I'll go back so you can see it a little better. If you look at his right foot, right, he tries to get his right foot leverage. And so this guy's not in full deny. He's just super close, making it tough. So as long as your right foot has solid positioning, you can just pop out. And like you'll just push off that foot. Once the ball's in the air, you push off and you go and get it, right? And then this back screen's starting to happen. So they're setting up that play that they ran at the very beginning. And so this double screen's happening. So if you're a screener, right, try to realize when the person that's guarding you is not paying attention, and then you can pop out into some space, right? And I know they probably talk about this because I think the second guy is his defender's farther away from where the pass would be. And so you don't want him to pop out because then Luka's just right there and it's just easy defense. But if he pops out, his guy's all the way back here. And now this guy releases to the corner, and what they're trying to do is get him to go down to the corner to open up this space, right? Because he's just kind of fell asleep. He's the second guy on a back screen. And so now Luka had to make a decision. He decides to come out, easy swing. He's wide open, right? But now look, this is how Gobert got the tip in. This was a mistake by the defense. So if you're guarding screeners, right, you never want to stare at it. So he's already making the mistake of just staring at screens, right? And so I'll show you. Now look, he's just staring at Gobert because he knows the screen's about to happen, and he has no idea what's happening, right? This dude could beat his defender off the dribble and go right behind him. He wouldn't even know that. I used to do that all the time. I'll tell my teammates, hey, your defender's not paying attention. Just kind of get out of the way, and I'm going to be right behind you. Used to do it all the time. Right? So the ball is here and he has no clue. And so if you're this guy, what you want to do is you want to open up and kind of like the way this guy's facing, how he can kind of see, this area of the floor, his body's facing that way. You want to do the same thing if you're a couple passes away and your guy's setting a screen. Just open up and allow him to get through, right? But now he's denying a screen over here that has nothing to do with the offense. He's still in a position where he thinks this guy has the ball just because he wasn't paying attention. So the ball is here. And he literally thinks that this dude's popping out for a screen, like he's kind of playing it that way, right? And he could have backdoored and made this a pass. Like they could have just destroyed. But it still worked out because now look, the shot's going up. He has no clue that the shot goes up, but Gobert's already moving because he saw it. So now he's in a position for offensive rebounding. But if he wasn't just staring at the ball, he would have been down here in help position because his man's over here, ball's over there. You want to be about halfway between both. He would have been in that position. And then by the time the shot goes up, he would have been in perfect position for box out. And so just the initial point of paying attention to the ball and opening up when your man is setting a screen so you can see everything that's happening. And if you open up, just put your hand on your guy as he's setting the screen so then you don't have to look at him. Like that's a little trick you can use. So you just touch him. You don't have to look. You can look at the ball, right? But shot goes up, out of position. Easiest offensive rebound ever. So here's another rule, and it's kind of minor. Like I need to go over more things like this because I think so much of this is undertaught. And like I was lucky I had a coach that taught me a lot of different things like this. But when your team's getting the rebound, right? Like in a situation like this, and you're not one of the bigs fighting for it, you got to stand outside and be ready for any type of tip out. Like I used to get so many rebounds just because I would wait for everybody to fight for it, and then the ball would just pop out to a random place, and I would go and grab it. And so be ready for anything to happen and the ball to come to you. And so right here, they're all just waiting and ready, right? Ball gets tipped out, goes right to him. Now you got to anticipate and see everything that's happening. So right as he gets this rebound, what does he see? His guard is running up the floor. And so he sees that his teammate got the rebound. I'm about to just run and try to get this outlet. And so they're on the same page as far as like what's about to happen. As soon as he gets it, guard runs right past him, and since he's already moving fast, he's just going to give it to the person that's already in motion instead of just dribbling up the court. And I think a lot of young players don't do that enough. It's just if somebody's already running and you get a rebound, just pitch it to him real quick and let him go. So right here, he lets him push it up the floor, and now they can start to operate in some space, right? And so they're making him push it up for one in order to engage the defense and make them rush and get back, right? Because there's advantages when you're kind of rushed up the court and the defense is out of position, right? They're not really in a good position because now the big is ahead of the person that's guarding him. And so what's he have to do? He has to stop the big down running down court. He had to stop the ball. So in that situation, it's a 2-on-2 situation. They just have to stop the 2-on-2, right? But the trailer, he doesn't pick up on the fact that he's been helped out right here, right? And so, and honestly, like they had to all rotate over, but this is the advantages of running faster. And so now what do you got? A trailer trailing into space, right? And then now he's cutting into space, but he's also out of the way, right? And he's spaced out over here. And so they got the advantage just off running. And so now he drives down the lane. Gobert gets out of the way. He doesn't cut right into him. And he should have taken this layup, but he just made the kick out. And if you're getting a kick out from someone's drive, once they pass your defender, kind of scoot down to the baseline. So then it's like a straight angle. But he makes the kick out and he misses a shot. But just know that, things like that happen all the time. Like even on this rebound, he's automatically looking for the fastest person that's running and they're furthest ahead. Right there. He just throws it ahead. No hesitation. Right. And now that what they got, 2-on-2. Right. And so these types of situations, like teams got to take more advantage of. And so for you, like if you're playing, you got to take advantage of, running situations to where either you're running and you're running in a position where you can get the ball faster and just push it up the court, or your teammates running and you can pass it to them, whether it's directly off a rebound and just pitch it, or you just pass it ahead and you can push the pace. But like pushing the pace will give you so many more opportunities than just like getting the rebound and walking it up and doing all that shit. So this is just a small situation that I think most players should know. Like when you get an offensive rebound, it's not a good idea to seek contact after that. I'd rather you just shoot the shot and just make the shot. So in this instance, instead of going into Luka on that offensive rebound, he could just jump straight up and put it in the basket. I think it's underrated. Like a lot of players like to seek contact. But for me, like when I was young, I learned how to score a lot of baskets without contact. So I'd have 20 points in a game and with 0 free throws. Like getting fouled wasn't really my thing. You could just score the ball, right? And so at this point, like he should just go straight up and don't go into Luka because Luka's not going to jump and block you in that situation and just make the basket. Don't make the game harder than it needs to be. So the post player got called for an offensive foul, and I'll tell you why it's an offensive foul. The reason people get in foul trouble like this is because they don't lead with their feet. They lead with their upper body. Anytime you lead with your upper body, it's going to be an automatic foul. So if you watch this, I'll slow it down so you can see it. Like right when he's starting to spin, so he hooked him a little bit, right, but he let go. Now watch what goes first, his foot or his elbow? Elbow. His feet have not moved, right? And so if you move your upper body first to initiate contact with somebody and your feet and your body has not moved, it's going to be an offensive foul. So it's okay to have your elbow out and it hits them as you're turning. But if it hits them and you're just swinging your arm and then you try to turn, that's what causes the foul. And so just understand that as a rule of thumb is like let your body move, let your feet move your body in the position that it needs to be to get leverage. Because he still would have got the leverage had he just pivoted, right? But if you try to put too much emphasis on, moving your arm or your upper body or whatever it is into the defender, 9 times out of 10, you're getting called for a foul. Like even on charges, when people lead with their shoulder, that's the reason they get the charge in the post. It's because they're not stepping first. The step comes first. The body follows the feet. Look, I'll let you see it in a close-up. You can see it clearly. He just moves all elbow first, has no intention of moving his feet first. There it is. Feet come second, automatic foul. Easy call. So here's another rule to follow, rule of engagement. That's what I should call them, right? When you're running down the court, and I'm looking at this guy up here in particular, you don't necessarily have to run full speed once you're already down the court. You want to be in position to get the ball. That's more important than speed. And so let's watch him the whole way, right? Like, yes, he's running fast, but like he starts to slow it down a bit because he doesn't want to overrun his pass. Because if he runs all the way back here, it's pointless. He's not going to throw that. But he's also waiting to see what he decides, right? And so he starts chopping his feet and slowly going in, but he's in position to get the pass, right? He's not just under the basket with his hands up. And so it's more important to be in the right position than it is to just run and get close to the rim. Like, that's useless if you're not in position to get it. And so he's still outside the lane. A lot of players put themselves right in a straight line. You want to be at an angle so the pass can be made, and he's just ready to catch, right? Once you're in position, just be ready to catch, see if he makes the right decision. Bounce pass goes right to him. Easy one pivot layup. All right, so when teams throw it in the post and they backdoor, there's a way you can stop yourself from getting beat on those, right? Especially if you're the one guarding the ball. Like, and the screener could have helped him out either. Like, so in this position, right, I'm focused on, let's see, they swing it around. I'm focused on this guy, right? So obviously they're denying the ball, right? Especially to Fournier, he's a good player, so they're denying him. Now, what you have to do is you have to anticipate what's happening. And so if you're this guy, put your hand on him so you don't have to look. And then once you look, you see that he's obviously trying to throw it into the post, right? And that's usually a signal for backdoor if you're the one pressuring. Like, that's just kind of a rule of thumb that a lot of teams do. If they're denying, they throw it to the post and then backdoor it, right? So he should be dropping back here once the pass is made, or as the pass is made, not after, right? So ball's getting ready to go. Like, it leaves his hands, and he's already late. So once he can see that that guy's getting ready to let go, he should already be backed up, right? And I'll show you exactly when. Like, right in that position, I'm already backing up because I already see he's going to let this ball go, right? And so that's how you stop yourself from getting backdoored. And then you stay on the inside of them, right? So you don't want to be parallel, right? This is parallel. You want to make a gate with your feet and just stop that cut completely with your body. Make him go this way or make him go around or do whatever. Don't just let him run in a straight line past you because then you're already lost, right? So now he was late and out of position because he didn't anticipate that pass. Now it's 1-2 versus 1 back here. And if you're this guy, you got to see exactly what's going on. Like, you know he's probably handing that off. And even if he fakes, you got help right next to you, right? Like, and so I'd rather have him attack than just to give their best player a line down the side, right? And so he should ideally get in front of him and cut that off and allow his teammates to help him out because he helped his teammate out. But he wasn't aware of that because he just wasn't anticipating and paying attention to what people are doing. And then he ends up with a foul, right? Which probably wasn't a foul, but he was out of position, so that's his own fault. And so the key to, majority of basketball, not just defense, is reading body language. Body language will tell you everything you need to know about what's happening. So his body language is giving away he's about to pass, which means he should get in position, right? When he catches it, he should be able to see the cut coming, and he can tell his body language is probably handoff, so let me back up. So if he does hand it off, I can cut him off. If he doesn't, I'm still in solid position, right? You don't have to fully commit to that cut, but just be right here and be ready to cut it off just in case he hands it off. If he turns and opens up, you can probably live with their post players shooting jumpers. And so just reading body language will put you so far ahead of what's about to happen that you'll automatically put yourself in position to stop certain things. So I'll break down this one-on-one attack by Luka, right? And one thing you got to know is what he does is he fakes accelerations. Like, a lot of people thinks it's the cross or your shoulders and all this other shit. He's faking acceleration. That's the key to getting people off balance. And so I'll show you exactly. Let me slow it down too, right? So if you watch his feet right there, what's his acceleration? His left foot. And so all he does is accelerate a little bit like he's really going to go and then stops on his right foot. You saw it? So it was minor, right? There, stop. Like, he pushed, now he's stopping. And that's how he gets him to shift, right? And then he uses their recovery against them. And so when the defense recovers, that's how he beats them. So he sets it up, hang dribble again. This is another one, right? Watch his acceleration point. Accelerate, stop. That's the key to shifting people. That's all it is. It's in the feet, right? And then when he comes back, he uses their recovery against them. So he knows, okay, he got him all the way over there. What's he going to do? He's going to recover and get back in front. So he stays low and attack ready. Once he recovers back to his position, now look, because he was getting ready to recover back in front, he attacks against the momentum of his defender and just beats him off the dribble, right? And gets to where he wants to go. And so let me show you again, I'll show you the fundamentals part of it. And a lot of people struggle with this, and they think it's basic, and they want to do all these moves, but they don't have a good base. And so when you're attacking, for one, bring your shoulders down, right? And if you're a guard, you got to be comfortable playing somebody this close to you one-on-one while dribbling the ball. You can't be in a half turn or a full turn with your back turn. You'll never be good at attacking if you have to turn your back, right? And so he's comfortable being face-to-face just like this in front of a defender with the ball, ready to attack. If you're not comfortable with that, you will not be good at attacking off the dribble, I promise, right? And so also his feet are wide, right? And I say when you're dribbling, like, bring your shoulders down for attacking, right? And so he always goes back to his base. So he crosses, solid base, shoulders down. Here he goes again. He comes up a little bit, to gain some acceleration. Now look, back in position. Feet are wide, shoulders are down. Crosses, feet are wide, shoulders are down, ready to attack. And so he's always on balance. He always has an acceleration point ready. His shoulders are down. Like, he's not afraid to just be face to face with a defender while dribbling the ball. His feet are wide. His foot is pointing the direction that he wants to go, right? That's his foot's going that way. Acceleration point, gone, right? So these things are fundamental. This is what I mean by fundamentals. A lot of people think it's foofy shit. They think it's fucking just throw a bounce pass. No, it's all the things I just described. Having a good base, coming back to center after you do a move, acceleration points, stopping, foot direction, like lowness of your dribble, driving in the right angles, balance. Like, those are fundamentals to just this attack, right? So if you're not a master of the things that I just like rattled off, combined with other things, obviously, like, you won't be, the peak player that you can be. Like, the fundamentals matter. This is what people say when they talk about fundamentals. Like, this is what they mean. They mean balance. They mean base. They mean all that stuff, right? And I do my best to break it down every day that I can, but just understand, like, these are the things that make you better. It's not that he did cross team, cross tween, hang, cross, accelerate, go. Like, that's not the thing that he's doing, right? That's just like, you're just describing surface level basketball if that's what you're doing, right? That's what a lot of the trainers do online. They describe surface level basketball, and then all these kids have all these moves and they can't understand why they don't work. It's because they don't understand the things that I just broke down, right? And so that's why I make my videos. But if you go back and watch that clip, like, you'll figure out how to attack your defender, and get him off balance and all that stuff. So again, one of my rules, right? And if you've been watching my videos, stay away from the action. I'm always going to point it out when I can. So if the action is going towards you, what's the rule? Scoot down, right? If the action's going away from you, what's the rule? Scoot up. It's that simple, right? Or a lift. That's what they call it, a lift, right? So action is going towards you. And this is the exact reason I always say stay away from action. So he's driving. You automatically got to get as close to the corner as you can. Like, I used to have a coach that would yell at our guards. If I drove and they even moved an inch, he would be so pissed off because he knew that their defender would get in the way and dig, right? And so you got to trust the fact that he has to make a decision that's more than just a lunge and get him to move down in order to open this up to make him either stop and kick it out or to just stay with you and open up the lane, right? And so look what he does. He goes from here to there for no reason. And what's that cause? A strip by the player that was guarding him. So that's why those types of little things are so important. Everything matters. So this is another possession by the same guy when I said, when you get the offensive rebound, don't jump into him, just float it in. I think contact is overrated, right? Like, or needing to use it all the time is overrated, right? So right here, he's fishing for contact and he missed the layup because he overextended his momentum, right? And instead, like, when you're this close to somebody, there's a couple things you got to understand, right? They're not going to be in perfect position. By the time they turn around, you've already chosen an attack angle. Also, if somebody is backpedaling, it is nearly impossible to jump as high as you can. You can't jump as high as you can going backwards. Try it, right? And so knowing that when you're attacking a defender and they're going backwards, just know that you can use finesse on them because you've already put them in a vulnerable position. And if you haven't made your contact here, then it's probably too late to make the contact on a one-on-one fast break, right? And you got to use a little bit of finesse, right? And so he should have probably slowed his steps down or maybe did a different type of move or jumped off too, and that would have allowed him to just go straight up and finish. But now he tried to initiate the contact, and his momentum is going this way instead of getting his balance and going up, right? And so those are just a couple things you got to understand. Like, you don't always have to initiate contact. It's great, in certain situations when you need to use it. But, especially on a one-on-one fast break, like, if you're not making the contact near the free throw line or maybe a little bit before, or if they're meeting you at the spot, like, if that's, then it's just useless, you know what I mean? And so he overextended himself instead of just having balance and going up, and that's how he ended up missing. And notice he landed out of bounds, so little things like that are just, it comes with a lot of experience, and that's why I think playing is more important than, training in some instances. I don't think being taught is more important than playing. And, people train by themselves a little bit too much. And I think in reality, like, you should be being taught in a group setting, little things like this. And then you should also be playing a lot. And then individual training should be third on that list. Like, that's my belief. And that's why I see, a lot of low basketball IQ players these days, especially in America. So here's a key for awareness, right? And just understanding like what's happening and where people are at. So this was a twofold thing. So he got the ball and he should have recognized that there's already somebody in the middle of the lane, right? And also he should recognize that his teammate is open. So he misses, two different things. And so he's just dead set on driving. And what happens is he's driving right into a teammate. So if a teammate is in a space where you're trying to drive, you're going the wrong way automatically, right? And I think he's just trying to attack gaps, but like just understand where your team is at. Now, if somebody's driving at you, you should get out of the way to the side that you're on, right? And so don't run across the lane to get out of the way. If he's going this way and you're already on one side of his drive, just kind of back up and give him some space if you can, right? Or just move way down as fast as you can, like one of those two, right? And he probably would have benefited from, yeah, if he would have just rolled down into some space, he would have benefited because then this guy would have helped and then he'd be open back here and make him make a tough decision, maybe skip it across, right? But that doesn't happen. They get in each other's way because he's just unaware, going right at his teammate. His teammate didn't get out of the way. Lose, lose. But what he could have done also, like instead of, obviously he missed the swing, right? And so instead of just going into space, just take the dribble pull up. Like just stop right there. Teammates are in the way. You pull up and shoot it, right? And it was just a matter of awareness, I think. And that's why he ended up in that situation, when they lost the ball. Here's a couple things to know during a press situation. For number one, if you're the primary person that's supposed to be getting open, dancing around is not going to work, right? And so if you watch this guy right here, like he's not doing any technique. And what you want to do in this type of situation is take this foot and put it on top of that one, like over the top, and then move his arm out the way, and then you can pop out over here. Like that's just a technique to get open, right? And so he doesn't get open. And now if you're one of these people back here and you notice your teammate doesn't get open, that's when you release. A lot of people, they all try to get open at the same time. And then that means you're all going to get stopped at the same time if none of you can get open, right? And so he gives his teammate a couple seconds to get open, notices that's not happening, and then now he releases to the ball in a full sprint. And so just know that if you're the emergency release, be patient, give your teammate a chance to get open, 1 or 2 seconds. If that doesn't happen, then you go to the ball. And then that's how you'll be able to create enough timing to where the person throwing it in like can go through all the options. They can go option one, which is the primary point guard. Okay, he's not open. Option two, kind of like a quarterback going through his reads. Like you just want to be patient. Now, while I go through the rest of this, I'm gonna also talk a little bit of time and score. Like it's my favorite thing to talk about. 2.5 minutes left, basically. 1 point game. Both team has a few timeouts. Like this, just knowing what to do. And so in this situation, right, like defensively, yes, you need the stop, but you got to understand the time is on your side, so you just want to play solid. And so what I'm watching is up here. That's just too physical. There's no point in doing all of that when you're down by one and you're going to get the ball back when they shoot it, right? So you're just basically sending their best player to the line for no reason, and he's catching it like 19 feet away from the basket. And so if you're in this scenario, there's no reason to foul. Just play him solid and then live with the results, because now clock stops, which is obviously clock stopping's on your side, but like giving him 2 free shots, it's not worth the physicality and the denial at that point. Like if he catches it, he catches it. There's no reason to make that foul. So he makes both free throws. And now in this situation, there's no reason to rush the three, right? Like obviously you're down 3, 2 minutes left, but you don't need a three. This is just a situation to where you just got to get a solid shot off, run your offense, And so that's what they do right here, trying to see what happens. They got 8 seconds, and they got a nice attack and an and one, and they were patient, right? And they could have tried to rush something, but they realized, okay, we just got to play. And he drove to the basket, and now he got an and one, and he's going to the line. So now it's tie game, and these situations all about execution. Like it's not hero ball time, it's not desperation shot time or ISO time. It's like run the stuff that works and get a good shot or get a good mismatch. Like so a shot like that in a tie game, that's not the best option. Like why shoot that? You know what I mean? Like how much? Yeah, 12 seconds on the shot clock, a step back physical three. That's not really the shot you're looking for in a moment like that. And so now France comes down, and like I said, you just want to run your stuff and execute on a high level. And so they try to run a pick and roll, get a nice kick out. He wasn't really shot ready. So now they're in desperation mode. So that's a good steal. That's a good play. Like offensively, they just didn't really like he wasn't 100% ready. You got to be ready and know the ball's coming. And obviously that was a bad pass. Like if you're only semi ready, you don't want to reach with your arms. You want to move with your feet in order to catch the ball. That's one of the rules, obviously. And so he just reaches, ends up with the dribble. Now he's not even in shot position. To where if he would have slid over to that pass, like when this goes out, imagine. So look how slow it. He took him forever to get to the corner. Watch, he's here. Why is it taking you so long to get to the corner? And so now he's over there. And now instead of being ready to slide and move, he just got there and he's surprised by a bad pass, right? And so urgency matters. Like it's a minute and a half in the game and you're half-ass into the corner. Like you should already be over there, set, hands ready. Then if they do throw a bad pass, you can slide instead of reach. Because now you reach, you're out of position, you can't shoot it, and you just got to give the rock up. And now he's going, opposite way of the basket. 10 seconds left. So now he tries to attack and gets stripped. But I think it starts with, that bad pass and a sense of urgency with movement. And so now France coming down, like still same thing. Like a minute 15 is plenty. So you just got to run something nice. And like that's a tough shot, right? You're coming off a screen, contested against a 7-footer. And unless you've been hitting those, like that's a tough shot with this amount of time and the score the way it is. I'd rather him try to attack him and enter this space over here, make them make a couple tough decisions. He's not going to dig. He's not leaving Fournier. So if you get past him going this way, it's basically, this guy has to make a tough decision. Is he going to stop you or make you swing it? And then he's going to have to rotate out, things like that. That stuff matters. And so now he shoots an air ball, which is basically a turnover. And they're down 2 and they don't have the ball. And so in this situation, I think you just get a stop. Like there's nothing, you don't got to be desperate. You don't got to play aggressive. You don't got to trap. And for Slovenia, I wouldn't, waste the entire clock. But also, you do got Luka, so it's hard to say, hey, don't ISO. But look, this is how they got that shot. So they ended up with a good shot, but he gambled. There's 8 seconds left and you're gambling from one pass away. You basically just cost your team for no reason. And if you're not going to cut him off with your body, then that reach is pointless, right? He's too good to get caught on a dig. Like there's no elite players driving and getting stripped on a dig. That's just not happening. And so if you're going to get in the way and trap, get your body there, get your body right here, cut him off and make it a real trap. Like he's not going to get stuck on that. And so now you leave your teammates vulnerable with 3 options versus 2 people because he gets through, makes the kick. Now he has to rotate, and that's an easy kick out right there, which he should have moved immediately, right? But now he moved late, which means he was late on the closeout. Gets lost on a step off the dribble. His momentum's going that way. He's up in the air. That's cash. But it all started, with that pointless dig. There's no reason for that. And so the little things like that cost teams. Like it's always something small. It's always small stuff that just builds up over time. So now France has it, and now they need a bucket. Like they need a basket, right? So if I'm in this situation, I run my absolute best stuff. Get a 3 or 2. So they got a 3, and they missed it. So let's go back and look at this, what their options were. So they get the ball in 14 seconds, right? And on a slip, like you got to be more ready for the slip because I think that's been open a couple times, especially I saw it in the first half, I'm pretty sure, where Gobert could just slip down the middle. And so this is something you got to recognize throughout the game. Like, okay, they've been hedging and, the guy that's on the ball is not leaving. He's going over the top. So the slip's been open. So I would literally just empty it out. And I wouldn't, I don't know if I'd have Gobert set it knowing that it's going to be a slip. I'd probably have like my 4-man set it because he's not as good with the ball, like handling it and playmaking and stuff like that. And so if you know that's going to happen, all you do is fake like you're going to drive at him, draw him out to that point, and he slips into space and get him out of the way. He catches it in the middle, and now it's 1, 2. Let's say he's out here, 3, 4 against those 3, and like it's that little short roll that the Warriors used to run and destroy with when they were throwing those lobs to Bogut. Like that's just something you got to recognize. Like I recognized that in the first half. Okay, they were doing that, so now they got to re-screen it because they didn't really see it, and so now they set not the best screen. and they're running a Spain pick and roll. But he beats him, right? And so in this situation, I'm taking the layup. I do not care. Like, I'm taking the floater. I'm taking something. I don't know him that well, so I can't say it's a good or bad pass, based on that. But you had either option. But in this situation, when I enter the paint, like, I'm shooting that shot for more certainty, you know. But that's not a bad look. It's just he just happened to miss it. So now in this situation, you gotta foul. I'd say you have to foul because 6 seconds differential, and you get a 5 second call. That's insane right here, right? And Slovenia has 3 timeouts, and so I don't see these are just small time and score things, right? And I'm doing this live. I haven't seen the end of this game, and so in this situation, like, he beats them all down court. He doesn't want to take the layup, right? And he's trying to just burn the clock. And so yeah, they're smart for not fouling actually, because they know that you can get a 5 second call. And so yeah, I didn't know you can get a 5 second call in EuroLeague. I like that. And so yeah, they're harassing him. And if you're a teammate, you gotta go to the ball, like, and you have to be aware. Okay, I have timeouts. You have 3 of them. There's no reason to get stuck in a 5 second call at the end of the game. You got 3 timeouts. Like, that's just unawareness. And then right here, just like throw the bounce pass. Like, and I don't know if he's expecting to get fouled, but throw the bounce pass. Under pressure, you got to throw a bounce pass, right? For you, like, you got to get in front of your man, become an option. You got to have a couple options here. And so he was smart enough to get in position. He doesn't throw the pass. He's not aware that they have timeouts. And now they're just desperation mode. They're standing across like he's going to launch it over there. It's not happening. He's not launching it there. It's not happening. 5 second call. That's just bad basketball. Bad basketball. Like, you had it in the bag, right? And so get this dude off the screen. So now let's see. Now they got it. They got to get a basket. Just, again, bad basketball. Now you're complaining to the refs. Like, I get it, but it's the end of the game, bro. Yeah, that's not. No, you just exposed the ball. There's no reason to get mad at that call. Like, you got to be more disciplined than that and be in attack ready, right? And he's assuming they're gonna play solid, so he can just do whatever he wants. And he's like, nope, I'm gonna get there. I'm getting the ball. And so that's on him. That's just undisciplined play. And he can be upset if he wants to, but it's like, you're a professional. You play in the top leagues. You should be ready for stuff like this. You should be more disciplined. And 17 seconds left, you're down 4. You need a basket. Like, to get stripped like that as a guard, that's kind of inexcusable. So now they go down court. Easy layup. And I wouldn't even give him that easy layup. You got to hack him, make him earn it. Implement some strategy. Like, you're going to the free throw line right there. Right? It's harder to make 2 free throws than it is to make a layup. And so now they go down. Now they're in desperation mode. Game's basically over. And so it's over on just fundamental stuff, man. So I switched to the Germany-Serbia championship game in FIBA, right? And I came across this play. This is good individual defense, like by this guy right here. I'm going to show you a little bit of everything that he did, right? So the first thing is he gets surprised on a crossover, and you never want to be caught by surprise. Like, that's the number one thing defensively. You should be ready for anything, right? So even though it looks like a handoff's going to happen, like, be ready for anything. And like, just this motion alone, you can tell he's about to do some shit. And so you got to read body language for number one. But he did a good job recovering, right? And so what a lot of people do is they end up trying to chase and cut off here, but he cuts off here. Like, that's the best way. So the worse you get beat, the farther back you got to meet him. And this is especially in a press. Like, if you get beat in the backcourt pretty bad, just run back as far as you can and meet him, right? And so that's what he does. He goes to the spot that the person with the ball is about to go to. So right here, crosses over, and he's meeting him up there in front, right? And now the next thing he did is he realized that this guy was trying to initiate some contact. And so he got out the way and just let him overextend himself and lose balance. So right there, he was expecting contact, and the contact would have gave him the balance that he was looking for. But since he didn't get it, that's how he got a little bit out of control, and now they're going the other way. And so watch closer. Here he is. There's supposed to be the contact, but he got out of the way, didn't take the contact. He was out of control, lost the ball. So here's another rule of engagement, right? the one thing I cannot stand that guards do is stand behind the ball. Like if you're a guard, like this guy right here, right? This is what I mean. The ball is here. You should not be behind it. I hate when they stand behind the ball like that. And so that's one of the reasons is your defender has no commitment to you. If you're out here, he has absolutely no commitment. He's just waiting on him to expose the ball or do something goofy. And so as soon as he drives, he's just locked in on the steal. But imagine instead of being here, that he's here. He can no longer do that, right? And so now look, he's just free to roam and do whatever he wants because he's not in the play. So do not stand behind the ball. Put yourself in position to be a threat somewhere because you have to make your defender honest. So even right here, as it's happening, like I always say, if action's going towards you, you got to start getting away. And so right here is where he should have started to move himself, more towards the wing to open up space for his attack. And then he would have dropped probably to the nail right here or something like that, and then he would have maybe saw that dig coming. But since he's here behind the ball, he can do whatever he wants. He's closer to the ball, right? And so as he drives, he doesn't even think that this dude's gonna dig, right? He thinks he's gonna be chilling out here, which that ain't happening on a pro level. And so that's why I always go by the rule: just don't stand behind the ball, because then you cause issues for your teammates. So many guards and posts make these mistakes on a ball screen, and I'll just tell you like the simplest way to just avoid offensive foul. I can't believe this happens on pro level still to this day. So, for one, if you are the ball handler and you're receiving the screen, you have to wait until your teammate is set. Like you do not have a choice. And if you see how he moves early, and so if he's already starting his move and he's not set for the screen, automatic foul, no matter what, right? So that's how you avoid it as the guard. Now, as the post player, if your teammate moves too early, get out of the way and just be like, I couldn't set the screen. You moved too early. If I would have gotten in the way, it would have been a moving screen. And so that's how you avoid it, right? Like it's the guard's responsibility to be patient for the post to set a good screen. And like sometimes posts set bad screens, but in this time, you didn't even give him a chance to set the bad screen. And so just be patient, wait for him to get set. If you're about to set the screen and your teammate is not set and he starts moving, like just get out of the way. Don't even set the screen because you're just going to get called for a foul, and then it's probably going to cost your team at some point. Another rule of engagement is when you catch the ball, especially in the paint, don't just dribble right away unless you know for a fact what you're about to do. This is probably just a rule in general. Like, don't dribble right away unless you know for a fact of what you're going to do. And so I think in this situation, like Tice set the screen and he rolled in there, there's no point in taking this dribble. If he would have just held it, he has his options, easy options, right? And I'm a big fan of the backdoor cut off that roll. They missed it on the last play. I didn't show it, but on the last possession, they had the exact same situation, and the guy stayed on the corner. I think you should cut on these when somebody has a roll and you're opposite the floor, right? But just know, like as a rule of thumb, when you catch it in traffic, dribbling immediately usually is not the best idea. So right here, imagine he's just holding it and looking. Like 9 times out of 10, he's not going to end up in that situation. So just understand that you got to stay calm, catch the ball, square up, survey, and only dribble when you know for a fact what you're about to do. So here's another rule of engagement, right? And one of them is when you're saving the ball, be aware enough to see if there's a teammate available and try to notice it beforehand. So right here, like on this, you should already have known that a teammate is there just off being aware, right, and observant. Because like you can see it when the shot goes up. When he gets the kick right here, shot's going up. At this point, you know a teammate is there, right? And so what I would do is when I save the ball, I'm going to jump and look and try to hold my balance as much as I can and throw it to the nearest teammate. I don't like random saves if you don't have to randomly save it. And so he looks right here, but he just throws it to the basket when he could just throw it into space right here and let his teammate jump out to it, right? And his teammate was aware enough to be available for his save. And so that's something you got to know too, is like when your teammate's going to save the ball, put yourself in position to where they can save it for you and let them know, be like, yo, I got you right here. Like, and they'll just save it to you. And so those are just little things to understand. These are things I want to keep pointing out, but this is a universal rule that you should know, like save it to a teammate. And if you're that teammate around someone that's saving it, be available and let them know that you're available so then they can throw you the ball and then not just randomly throwing it in the air, and then if you do save it, always save it to your own basket. So if you do something like this, he was smart enough to at least save it to his own side. So now if they get the ball, they're at least as far away from their basket as possible and their team can get back. But if you save it over here randomly, then they catch it in the middle and they can just go on a fast break. And so, yeah, those are just a couple things that you have to know. So now if you're a post player, one thing you want to do and get in a habit of is see if you can post up immediately on fast breaks, right? So when things start going, like here's the post right here, he just automatically runs down and puts himself in position. So he ends up behind the defense. And if you end up behind the defense around the free throw line or above, then you're already in good position to seal, right? So he seals right here. And offensively, you got to understand and see that happening so you can throw it over the top. So even if he don't throw it, like this has to be a pass. Like there's a lot of space to where he can throw it to one of the bottom corners of the backboard and his teammate's going to go. He even looked at him. I don't understand why he didn't throw this pass. But that's just something that you should know if you're a post player. Like if you end up behind the defense, just post up in the middle for a second, see if you can get an easy one, throw it over the top, and just see what happens. And if you're a passer, like you have to throw this. I don't understand why I didn't throw that, but it happens. Another small rule of thumb: when you throw the ball across the paint from outside the paint, so if you're outside the paint and it's going in or it's going across, it cannot be a straight line pass. Those hardly ever work. Like I've probably seen it work, maybe 10% max of the time. And so if you're gonna throw this pass, has to be over the top, has to be bounced under the arms. Like everybody's first instinct on defense is to just stick their arm out and tip the ball. And so if you know that, then you can't just throw the ball straight through thinking it's gonna work. Like that's another rule of engagement. And so remember a couple plays ago, I showed Daniel Tice rolling and just dribbling for no reason. This is the exact scenario why you shouldn't do that again, right? This is just bad awareness. You have to know as a roller when especially if you slip in a situation like this, like just automatically in your mind know that there's going to be help directly behind you. Like it's automatic. If they're not behind you, the team you're playing is bad at basketball, right? And so to just put it on the ground frivolously right here, it's gonna cost your team. I'm telling you, don't dribble for no reason. Now, what I did like on this play is last time they were camping out here. 2 times in a row, I saw them camping out here on that play, right? And now they ended up being smart enough to cut on this back door because once this guy helps, there's nothing left. And so he should have been aware enough to just draw him and be able to make this pass to the cutter. That would have been the easiest layup. But he goes in unaware for the second time. And last time he caused a turnover, I believe, if I remember right. On this one, he ended up in a charge, so same situation. So when you're rolling, you just got to be aware and just know for a fact, okay, there's going to be help behind me. I'm not dribbling right away. And he was smart enough to cut on the baseline and just make that pass and be aware of what's going on. But that comes with anticipation, court awareness, the most undertaught things in basketball by far. So this is also a good time and score situation that we can talk about, right? And they foul on the 3. Like this is the last thing you want to do. Right. And these are things like you got to talk about in practice. You got to go over. You got to know, talk about in the huddles. Be like, when there's close games like this, you cannot foul, and just give up easy points at the free throw line. So if he's going to make this, he's been making them all game. I understand. Just do your best contest. But don't jump into them. Don't get in their landing space. That's just a careless foul. And now he's going to go to the line. And now he's in question of like, how is that a foul? Like, bro, you just jumped all into his landing space, right? And so you can't afford those type of things, when it's a minute 20 left. You're up 6. Just let them make shots. Like if they make shots, they make shots. But don't. Bailing them out is not worth it. Over contesting is not worth it in these type of situations. And these are things you got to know. So he makes all 3 free throws. Now they got to come down and get a bucket because if they miss, Serbia's on a roll. They might get a bucket, and now it's tight at the end. So now let's see how they handle this little like dummy press, right? They're just man pressing the point guard as normal, or the guards or whoever. And so if I'm Germany right here, like again, why does your main point guard why does Dennis Schroeder not have the ball? Like if you're the number 1 point guard, you do not let anybody else bring the ball up in these type of situations. It just does not make sense to why you would risk it having a post player bring it up. It's not worth the risk, right? But these are just time and score things. Like these things cost games, right? And we saw it in the last game, how like little steals and stuff, can almost cost you the game. And here's a little defensive trick. I knew somebody that used to do this. cut an entire side off and make them spin, and they're gonna switch hands, and then that's how you get the steal right there. That's just a little trick you can use. That I know somebody that used to do that trick all the time. Like he would just completely cut off one side of the ball and force you to spin. He'd be so close where you can't cross over in front, and so he'd force you to spin. And he knows that you're gonna switch hands, so he just chases that hand instead of recovering over the top, and then gets the steal right there. That's a little trick you can use. But now let's see what they do. Like if I'm them, I don't force a bucket. I'm chill. We got a minute left. We just need a point, right? And so now they run the roll and they swing. That's a good shot. That's a great shot, right? But they were patient, right? Look, if you notice, right, he gets this steal. And if I'm him, I mean, he was probably off balance. He couldn't. Like, I probably try to take this one-on-one, right? There's a ton of space. Like, you're not going to get a much better opportunity to do it than you will right there. And so even though you recover this, I think, you're a good enough player to where this has to be some sort of attack. I like that better because then if you miss, there's way more time. And so, like, these are things that you want to think about, right? And I think he was just trying to be patient and not rush too much. But at the same time, I believe he missed the opportunity to just, possibly get a layup, And now Germany has the ball and they didn't get to score. So if I'm Germany down here, yeah, I keep the ball in Schroeder's hands. Like, that's a careless foul. I wouldn't do that right there, right? And I don't know if they had one to give. Let's see. Now he's at the line. Yeah, that's a bad foul. There's no reason to reach, right? So look how important these time and score situations are. Like, these are things I stress as a coach. Like, these things are super important. And so they come down. Like, just play them solid. Look, you're down 3, 18 on the shot clock, 50 seconds. They miss a shot. You get the ball back probably 30, 35 seconds, right? And so he goes for the back tip for absolutely no reason. And now he's putting the other team to the line, right? These things are costly. And these are things you just have to know, right? And I think he missed that. So they might have got lucky right here. Schroeder misses the free throw. But I don't even take that risk. Like, I never take that risk. I'll just play him solid. So now you're down 4, right? And so now let's see what they do. I think I try to go for a 2. I run your best option to get a 2. You don't need a 3. So there it is. I like that. Oh, and you need that. And if you're going to foul, like, don't reach. So defensively, who was that reached? Was that him right here? Was that Tice? Or no, that was the initial trailer, right? Like, if you're going to foul, make sure they don't even get this attempt off. Like, that should be a basket, right? You need that. But, things happen. And so I like the play that they ran. Like that, yeah, that has to be 2 points right here. Yeah, if you're in this position, you're fully behind. There's not even, why go for that? Like, if you're going to go for it, like, hold his arm and don't let him get anything off. Because that's super costly, And so the last 2 minutes here, both teams are just doing things I wouldn't recommend doing if you're trying to win a basketball game. Like, time and score is so essential. So he made the first one. Did he make the second one? Knocked down the second one. So here, this is a situation again, right? You're down 2, 40 seconds. You can run the press. Do not foul under any circumstance. Like, that's what I would say as the coach. And so even situations like that, like, that's risky. If I'm him, I'm taking that layup. Like, they abandon all hope up here on a trap for absolutely no reason. If I'm him, I'm taking this layup probably. Like, and it's fast, right? But depends if your footwork's on point. Like, I would take this foot, just pivoted in front, and I'm just one step to the basket. You could probably beat him on a step with the perfect technique. But, that's risky to give that pass up right there. Like, I'm taking that layup. And so for Germany, I'm going to the bucket. Like, yeah, I like that right there. With Schroeder, he's lightning quick. And he looks like he got caught off surprise, which there's no screen in the world that's even remotely close to you. So, like, checking over your shoulder, it does nothing for you, right? And so, yeah, he just got destroyed off the bounce from the top of the key. There's nothing you could do about that. That's a good attack. Yeah, he's and the driving technique. Like, I'll bring up the driving technique real quick. You always want to, like, basketball's a downhill game. That's what I always say, right? And so your fakes, you don't want them necessarily be side to side. Like, if you can convince the defense that you're gonna go downhill past them, that's what makes them react more. Like, act as if you're gonna go past them one way, make them shift, and then go past them the other way. Like going left, right, left, right. It's not as efficient if you're trying to be a real attacker. And so those are just things to know, in order to create a nice angle for yourself. Because like he went inside the elbow. I always say go inside the elbow if you can from the top of the key. Like, that's how you know you got a good angle. So right here, here's the elbow. He's on the inside lane. Right, if you're on the outside lane, that's where the dig is always at. Right, so that's good technique. The swipe misses. And so that's how important the details are. Like, even when he goes up, right, you can do like little slick stuff like this, is you put your arm up and block their arm from blocking you. Like, that's just a pro trick, right? And if you can do it subtly, as long as it looks like part of your layup, it's hard to notice. And he's so fast, you can't see something like that. And so, like, the details are important, right? He's faking downhill, shifts him one way, goes the other way. He goes inside the elbow from the top of the key to avoid the dig and brings the ball up on the layup. He blocks his arm with his off arm. Like, little stuff like that goes unnoticed every day. That's what makes pros pros. Right here, if I'm Serbia, I probably go for three. I actually, if I can get a perfect two, I would take it. But if I got to run a bunch of offense, I need to take the three. Like, that's I don't know about that three, but I would run something to get a clean three, you know? And so now they panicked, right? Like, time and score, dude, it's so important. So right here, I'm not shooting that. I'm not, no, I'm not shooting that. In the huddle, you had to have come up with something better than this right here, right? And I think he probably just abandoned whatever they were going to do. I don't know what their option was, but I'm not shooting that. I'm running something, you know? And on this, like, you got to be ready for the spot up, right? But he's not. He's, 7 feet behind the line, and he's rushing. Like, that's just a rushed play. I think he just panicked. You can see it on his face. Yeah, he just panicked. I think that's all that happened. And so being able to be poised in situations like this, for one, it comes with preparation. Like, how prepared are you to be able to do things in hard situations? So if your training is not hard, if you're not playing, competitive people on a consistent basis every single day or almost every day, you're not going to be ready for these types of situations. Like, the stuff that got me ready for this, the times that I took the shots and I was, doing what I had to do in the crunch time for my teams, was just like the amount of times I played at the YMCA or the courts and it's game point, you're going to 7 or whatever it is, and like y'all need a bucket. The amount of times I had the ball and was able to shoot those shots, like, was a lot against competitive people. So it just made me ready for real games where it's like, okay, real game, there's a minute left, like, we need to come up with some buckets. I was prepared because I had done it so many times. Like, I had done we're going to 11 and it's tie game and we need a bucket. Like, I'd done that a billion times. And so when I get to a real game, like, it's not new to me. And my preparation has allowed me to be calm in those situations and poised, because I have the skill set. I've played competitive forever. And so there's no panic in me, when those moments arise. Make or miss, it don't matter. I'm just ready for it. And I think a lot of people panic in these situations because they're just simply not prepared. And so if you're not preparing yourself to play, close games by consistently doing it and putting yourself in hard situations to where you're playing a really good defender and y'all need a bucket, and you got to rely on your skills and your fundamentals to get a shot off or create something, then these situations are going to be tough, and I see that with a lot of players. Like, that's why in the NBA, the playoffs change people. Like, when you watch the NBA playoffs, it changes people, but the people it doesn't change are the real ones. Like, Trae Young's first playoff, dominated. Luka's first playoff, dominated. Kyrie's first playoff, dominated, right? Because they were prepared for the moment, because their training's intense, they play intense. When it's time to shoot the 3-2-1 in an open gym or at a practice or whatever it is, they've done it. They've done it a billion times, They've been at the park with the grown men and they got to shoot the game winner. Like, it's nothing new to them. So that's why when they get to the playoffs, the pressure doesn't bother them. Like, it makes them rise to the occasion and they're ready to carry when they need to carry. So that's why everyone says in the NBA, like the playoffs shows you who's who. Anybody looked great in the regular season. There's no pressure to win the games. Obviously you want to win every game, but things like that matter. Your preparation is what puts you in position to succeed. It's that simple. And if you want to be poised when the game comes down, to the wire, then you have to have intense preparation on a consistent basis. It's that simple. And you have to play a lot of games against intense people. Play a lot of open gyms and have an intense matchup. Even if the 5-on-5 is kind of mediocre or it's not up to par with like a real game, which most of them aren't, your matchup needs to be competitive. Like the person across from you needs to be playing for real, right? That's how you make this shit translate. And the one-on-ones that you play has to be for real. And it's that simple.
Before I end this video, I really want to do some mindset stuff with you because I've had a lot of different conversations over the past couple of weeks, and I think a lot of young players struggle with just perspective when it comes to basketball. Like for me, it wasn't really that hard to get over a game, or to not be afraid of failure, or just be okay with the things that were happening throughout my basketball career. And so I want to break down like things that we can do. And so the first thing I want you to do is get a piece of paper out, and I'm gonna do it with you. And the first thing I want you to do is like turn it sideways and split it into three different um, sections. Just draw lines, two lines down the paper, and have three sections, right? And my lines ain't the greatest, but like that's what I want it to look like. Okay. And this is more of like this is going to train your focus and perspective for your overall career and how you should approach every day of your training and in games and things like that. So in the first one, I want you to write down things I can control, right? And really like go through this. Don't just listen. Like pause the video, go get paper and pen. Don't just listen to me chat. Um, Actually do this shit. So the first one is things I can control. The second column is things I can't control. And then the third column is I don't know. So sometimes you don't know if you can control certain things or not, right? And so the third column is I don't know if I can control this, right? And so what I want you to do, pause the video because I'm gonna write mine, and then I'm gonna chop it up and go over it. I want you to write underneath each one when it comes to just basketball in general, things you can control. And so, like for example, like work ethic, or making shots in the game, or whether you play a certain amount of minutes, or whether you get recruited, um, how your career ends up, what leagues you play in, whether you win championships, like anything that has to do with basketball in general. Like I want you to section it out and be like, okay, when it comes to basketball, I can control how much I practice. Okay, I'll put that on there. When it comes to, makes and misses in the game, okay, I don't know if I can control that one, so I'll put that over there. And so everything, just whatever your best guess is, or your thoughts or your beliefs, just section them out. And then after you do that, unpause the video, and then we'll go over them. All right, so I wrote mine out, and I'm gonna read off what I have, like all the options I have, and then I'm gonna go through how I sorted them, right? And so some of the things I wrote down is effort, makes and misses, mindset and perspective, playing time, wins and losses, preparation and workout time, what college you play at, confidence, mistakes, playing hard, the journey between now and where you want to be, playing good or bad, learning, persistence and quitting, and outcomes. And so I'm gonna tell you how I sorted these things. And I didn't, I probably spent 10 minutes on this just to think about, what I thought was important. I probably missed a couple things. If you have some things written down that I didn't write down, that's okay. But I just want to give you a perspective of like what you should need to be focusing on, because what gets a lot of people, stressed out, or they think that they should quit basketball after one bad game, or like they should rethink everything, or they get worried about what's going to happen is they don't focus on things that they can control, right? And so that's why I think this exercise is super important. And so under the first thing I'll say is under I don't know if I can control. I didn't put anything under that. I've had a lot of experience with basketball and things like that, so there wasn't necessarily anything I thought where I don't know whether or not I can control. If I thought a little deeper, I probably could have came up with something. But I'll go over things that I can control, right? So I put effort, mindset, perspective, like how you see things, workout time and preparation, the things you're doing to get yourself ready, like how long are you working out, things like that. Confidence, you can control confidence. And I'm going to go in depth about a couple of these. Playing hard, learning, and persistence and quitting. So like those are the things that I put, the things that I can control, right? I can control whether or not I'm gonna quit something. I'll move my paper, but I can control whether or not, I'm gonna learn from mistakes, or I'm gonna learn how to do certain things, or try to look up certain things, or ask questions to certain people, and absorb knowledge and information and things like that. Like I can control playing hard. Like a lot of people don't even think about that part alone. It's just like I'm gonna play as hard as I possibly can and be competitive. Like I can control that, right? Um, confidence. You can control confidence. You know, and the way you control, like this is part of it, right? The way you can control confidence is put your faith in things you can control. Stop putting your faith in things you cannot control. And I'm gonna go over that, right? How much time I spend working out, 100% in my control, right? Or I shouldn't say 100%. Like, obviously, you got to go to school and shit like that, but there's gaps in there where it's like you could either work out or you can do something else. Like, you're in control of that, situation. How hard you try, definitely in control of that. Now, things you cannot control, right? Makes and misses in the game. You don't control whether the ball goes in or not. You just don't. You control the preparation that allows the ball to go in or not, right? And so you can work as hard as you need to work, focus as hard as you need to focus on technique, all these types of things. And that's what allows you to get more makes than misses. But when you go in the game and you just shoot the ball, you just basically trust in your technique and your preparation, and trusting the fact that you can make it based on practice habits. But you don't control literally whether or not the ball goes in or not. And so, like, I think a lot of people need to get over that. Playing time. You don't control that either. Like you can do the best you can. You can do perfect in practice. You can be the most coachable kid, and do all these things. And the thing about it is you just want to give yourself the best chance. And so like that's what I'm focused on is like what actions are you going to take that give you the best chance to make the best chance to get more playing time, the best chance to go to a better school, the best chance to be a professional. You got to do the actions required to give you a better chance. That's what you can control. You can't control whether or not, the outcome actually happens, right? And that's what I put on there too is like outcomes. You don't control outcomes, right? Like if I was in control of outcomes, I'd be in the NBA. That simple, right? But I'm not in control of that. I'm not in control of the fact that I had to get knee surgery at 18. I'm not in control of the fact that my coach didn't want to play me when I went to college. Like I didn't know that was going to happen, right? But I wasn't smart enough, obviously, to transfer and things like that. But I couldn't control that specific situation. Like I could have controlled whether I wanted to leave or not, and I decided not to leave, which obviously is not a good choice. But um, I was in control of where I wanted to be, not what the person in charge was going to do, with my playing time or with me as a player. Like it's not in my control. Playing time's not in your control. You know what I'm saying? Wins and losses, not in your control. Again, you just prepare and do the best you can and study and go over film and know where you got to be position wise and make sure you understand the game plan and all these other things, and have your skills right and your conditioning right, and that prepares you to try to get the wins. But you don't necessarily control whether or not you're going to win. Like sometimes you just miss the shots, or the ball bounces the other way, or another team catches fire and they're hitting everything. Like you don't really control whether or not you win or lose a game. You just control the preparation. Mistakes, you can't control those. Like as much like I wish people would understand. As well as I played a lot, I played bad a lot, right? I'm not in control of like the turnovers where I trip and fall and the ball goes off my foot, in a crucial game. Like that's happened to me. Like literally the ball just hit off my foot randomly and we lost the game. Like that's on me. You know what I mean? But I can't control whether or not those mistakes happen. Like sometimes it just happens and it's just part of the game. Like you just slip up, or maybe I wasn't prepared enough, or I wasn't focused enough, or I wasn't poised enough. Maybe nerves got to me, something like that, right? Like those are the things I can control. Um, Playing good or bad, you do not control that. Like, and again, you have to define. I think, and I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into this, because this is the last point for things I can't control is playing good or bad. You get to determine what playing good or bad means. And so for me, there's been times where I've literally scored like 25 points, and everybody like the next day, like, oh yeah, I heard you played good yesterday, or you played good at whatever. And this was when I was in college. I remember this example specifically. It was like my first. I can't remember who we played. We played like, yeah, we played Hastings, and I played pretty good, like the first game of the season. And everyone's like, yeah, I heard you played good yesterday. In my mind, I was like, I didn't play that good. I had like 25 points, right? But I felt like I missed a lot of the shots that I usually make. I made a couple mistakes that I don't normally want to make. And the thing with the makes and misses is like, for me, I don't want to put playing good or bad on makes or misses, right? But from in my mind, I'm like, okay, these shots, like I make these all the time. So me missing those is like, okay, I could have played better. Like that was, it wasn't that I played bad. It was just I could have played better, right? But everybody's like, oh yeah, you played great. But in my mind, I'm like, not really. And then the next game, I absolutely destroyed because I was like shooting 80% from the field. You know what I mean? And so like things like that, you know, you don't really control what you're playing good or bad. You just get to control what you see as good or bad. And so if I there's been games where I remember in middle school, like I didn't make any shot. I barely touched the ball, but I played like good as fuck on defense and we won, the tournament championship or whatever it was for the moment. And like for me, that's playing good. Even though I shot like one air ball, barely had the ball. But like in my mind, I played good because I played as hard as I could and I played defense when I needed to play defense and like helped our team win. And so for me, that's good in my book. And so I think I hang my hat on effort and my work ethic and my attention to detail and my competitiveness and my toughness and you know my willingness to not give up when the game's out of reach maybe and playing hard all the time and never taking a play off and chasing down rebounds and being physical. Like I put my you know self-worth in those things because I can control those things. I cannot control other things. So I'm not going to put my self-worth in stats because I don't control stats, right? And so I think a lot of people have to understand that because you don't want to go like this all the time based on numbers and makes and misses and all that other shit. But like if you go out every night and you're like, okay, I play as hard as I fucking can, like literally I play as hard as I possibly can, and I'm always diving on the ground, like I never give up a play, like I'm always chasing down a loose ball or I'm fighting as hard as I can on these rebounds, like you can be happy with yourself because those are just things you can control. And so I think it's a lot easier to live your life come like basketball wise if you really think about that and think about what I'm saying and like really look at your piece of paper and really be like, okay, can I control playing bad? Like no, I really can't because sometimes you just have an off day or what I'm saying, but you can control your preparation. And so like I put, my self-worth in preparation. Like I'm going to prepare better than everybody. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the message I really wanted to get across with this little mindset thing. And I want to do more of these at the end of some videos. It's always something I had thought about, but today was the perfect one. And another thing I want to throw in there is like micro goals and end goals, right? I think micro goals are fine, but you can't put all your weight into them, right? Like if your goal is to be an NBA player, like you should only focus on that thing. And then, when it comes time to play a high school game tomorrow, you're not going to be stressed about it because you're like, okay, I'm trying to make the NBA. In reality, this game's like meaningless. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean like you don't play hard. I think people think when you don't care about something as much or you're not, emotionally invested deeply into certain things that you don't care about it. That's not what it means at all. It's just it lifts a weight off of your shoulders of having to perform so well because there's a million different ways to become a professional. There's a million different ways and a million different stories of how all these people went to the NBA or WNBA or EuroLeague or whatever it is, and none of their paths are the same. Like, and that's the thing I need you to understand is like you're gonna have your own path. And so if you want it to be picture perfect of 4 years varsity, 4 years D1, straight to the league, like that shit don't happen for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, um, And I think you kind of got to be okay with where it takes you and be like, okay, as long as I make it, I'm good. Because then um, you're less likely to be, so wrapped up in the day to day results of what's happening. Like playing bad's not going to affect you. And so I think only focus on the end goal and be like, this is what I want to get, and just do the things required. Like um, put your stock in the actions. You know what I'm saying? Like not in the results. Be like, okay, my goal, yes, my goal is to make it to the NBA, but in reality, my goal is to do the work that's required to make it. You know what I'm saying? And so if you make your goal doing the work, then you already won. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, you might be disappointed that you didn't make it, but at the end of the day, like life moves on. And so even you make it, you're done at 40, you're done at 45, regardless. Like there's no 50-year-olds playing in the NBA or playing pro basketball. So regardless of how this shit goes, life moves on. And that's the thing that people got to understand. So I think just have your one end goal. Don't focus so much on trying to win, the seventh game of the season and against a ranked opponent. Like, yeah, it's great that you want to win it. But like if you lose it, okay. If you play bad, okay. If you play great, okay, bet you got practice next week. You know what I mean? And so regardless of what happens, like life moves on. You know what I'm saying? And so do not put so much self worth into results. Like do the actions required, put yourself in position, meet the people that are around you, talk to the people that are around you, ask questions, be curious, put your best effort in every single day. Don't fucking quit and just roll with it. And anything that happens, like you gotta put a positive spin on. This is the most important part. Like anything that happens, you gotta think about, okay, this happened for some reason that I need to learn something. So like, what out of this situation that it can be perceived as bad, right? Like maybe you shot 0 for 10 in the championship. Like, okay, what can I learn from this? And I always bring up the Kobe quote or the Kobe event, and I'm gonna stitch that in here at the end so you can watch it. But I always think about the Kobe event where he shot them air balls, and it's like you on national TV shooting air balls against the defending champs, like, or not the defending champs, but the Western Conference champs, the Jazz. And so it's like, damn, everybody saw that, and it's like, how do you respond to that? And so the thing about life is like you got to respond in a way to where you can get something positive out of every situation. It's like, okay, this situation didn't go how I wanted to go. What's positive that I can take out of this? And that's how you get positive results. But if things happen and they go wrong, and you think about it negatively, like, oh, this sucks, man. I'm pissed about this. Like, you're gonna get negative feedback. And so, no matter what happens, just like put positive spins on everything. Be optimistic. Always think, the best gonna be prepared for the worst, but think the best is gonna happen. Be like, okay, if this happens, like I'm prepared. Like if I fucking fall on my face, fuck it, I'm prepared. But I'm assuming that's not gonna happen. I assume that I'm gonna play great and I'm gonna dominate and I'm gonna win the championship and I'm gonna get drafted and I'm gonna do all this shit. Like that's what I'm assuming. But if that don't happen, like okay, I'm ready for it. And don't be afraid of it. There's nothing to be afraid of. Like like I say, life moves on.
I just tried to be as prepared as possible because this was like, I didn't want to mess up.
This has been a game for Los Angeles that obviously they need to win. Washington, they're eliminated from the playoffs, and here we go. Kobe Bryant will take it.
Guarded by Russell. 5 seconds left. 4. Bryant drives. Pull out. Shot on the way. No good. We go to overtime.
I'll say this, for an 18-year-old to take this shot when it's on the line, let's give him some credit for that. He feeds to a wide open Kobe Bryant.
They bring another air ball. He shoots back-to-back air ball. Jazz basketball.
See how strong-minded he is, because that hurts confidence both in Kobe and his teammates throwing him the ball. He has shot 2 air balls in a row. He's got to come up and play like it's nothing. You just missed the shot. That's all that happened.
Gilroy. Barnetto backs it out. Straight away to Kobe Bryant. Bryant for 3. It's short again. Air ball. Air ball. Young rookie. 3 times. He shot air ball.
He's going to keep on going no matter what. When you fail 10 times, that 11th time is going to be great. If it's not the 11th time, maybe the 12th time is going to be great. But eventually, it's going to happen.
15 seconds to go. A chance to tie. And Exel with it. Got a chance if it gets close to 5. Bryant for the tie. Another air ball.
It's over. It's over. I do believe. It's over. It's all over.
We flew back to LA that night, and I got home. It's probably like 3 in the morning, and I went down to the high school, which is down the street from our house, and the janitor let me in the gym, and I shot all day. All day. I mean, all day. And this was right after that playoff game. And I didn't leave the gym. I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and practicing and practicing. And I got a chance to let out the steam of disappointing my teammates and millions of fans. I got a chance to let all that out instead of bottling it up and envision that moment over and over and over and over and over. That was a huge summer for me because I felt like everybody had written me off after those air balls. And I was really excited when the schedule came out and I saw we had Utah.
Tonight in the season opener, the Los Angeles Lakers host the Utah Jazz. Kobe comes underneath, lays it up and in with a 360 turn, a head and shoulder fake. The hips were flying, the feet were moving, the arms were going, and he put in a flutter ball. Woo! Kobe with the ball. He just made a great move a second ago. He's against Anderson. Go to the base, beats Anderson. Reverse layup. That's good with the left hand. He went underneath and brought it back with the left hand, did he not?
Yes, he did.
87-77.
Being ambidextrous.
Yeah.
I came through really big in the clutch. Really big in the clutch. And I remember just feeling really like vindicated. Like for me, it was a really big deal. For the veterans, they probably didn't give a shit about it. It was just another regular season game. But for me, it was a big deal.
Yeah, count it.
Basket is good.
Well, you see him finish that play, Chick?
Yes, I did. Does
He can jump out.
You have come so far in 1 year. That's because you worked so hard in the summer?
I definitely did. I was a student of the game. I tried to understand things that I wasn't doing very well last season and try to add them into my game. And it's difficult because you have to break habits. So that was the hardest adjustment.
But this year you're getting more minutes, and obviously a guy can play better when he's not looking over his shoulder to see if the coach can take him out.
Right, well, when you play more minutes, you naturally get better because that's experience out there on the court.
The most important thing is you must put everybody on notice that you're here and you're for real. I'm not a player that's just going to come and go. I'm not a player that's going to make an all-star team 1 time, 2 times. I'm here to be an all-time great. Once I've made that commitment and said I want to be one of the greatest ever, then the game became everything for me.
Bryant is guarded by Michael Jordan, and a pull away by Kobe Bryant. And even Michael Jordan will tell you that Kobe Bryant, the future of the NBA. Wow!
He realized how good he is. He's actually in his second year of college, and well, certainly he's learned a lot, and he's certainly going to learn a lot more. He's going to be a lot better if he keeps improving.